So I'd like to begin by asking you all, without wasting any time, by asking all one tech solution or one innovation in recent times in publishing which has excited you all. One of each of you has to give me one innovation which has excited you all, as related to personalization and monetization for your brand or for your clients. Beginning with Rohit.
First of all, thank you. It's good to be here and good to be a part of this panel. I think a lot of innovations have happened, right? But I think the way brands are now using the new age technology, right? Whether it comes to reaching out to their audiences, we've seen influencer marketing go out in a big way, right? And how brands are now using influencers to reach out to their audiences. That is very unique, and that has recently caught my attention, and I think it is going to be a big thing going forward.
That's more of a kind of influencer driven. I'm talking about a tech solution or a tech innovation.
Yeah, so it's more, see how you bridge technology is primarily through data and personalization, right? Which is also the key theme of this discussion, right? And I think, technology that can kind of, build a larger audience from the current data audiences that is available is something which is very innovative.
Okay, great. Ishan, you must be using a lot of the publishing platforms to get more customers to take loans from you all.
Correct. So, well, firstly, thank you so much for the warm introduction and good to meet all the panelists here. So, well, on to your question about one innovation on technology that we have seen has worked for us in the recent past is primarily data-driven underwriting and upgrades. So, I mean, that's something that's the fountainhead of our solution overall, wherein we identify different data points or variables from the users from different data sources. And then basis that we use a rule engine basis which we are able to kind of allocate certain scores to the users, and onto it we are able to kind of identify what's the credit limit that we want to provide to the end users. So that's something that we have been building on over a period of time, and lately what we have seen is that we have been able to amplify our overall reach largely basis the personalization of credit, as well as the way in which the process is defined in the overall product flow basis the profiles of the users. So A, it's the underwriting, and B, it's the product and process flow which we have been able to customize basis the data points that we identify from the user, and it has really helped us scale our overall reach and acquisition.
But has the data been granular enough for you to be actually reach down to accurate personalization, or is it Google's talking about flock and all that, cohorts. They're talking about moving away from, and Apple's coming up with its own solution. So has the data been granular, or have you been guesstimating and estimating?
So it's not been granular to the individual level, definitely, but it's definitely been granular largely to a mini cohort level, wherein we are able to. So earlier our cohorts were primarily on the RFM matrices, but now we have also been able to inculcate a lot of demographic parameters, geographic parameters, interest parameters, their engagement parameters on our platform. So basis all of that, we have been able to granularize cohorts to that extent, and then we could define flows, we could define rules basis each of that, and that has really helped us not just in our acquisition, as I said, but also in the quality of lending that we do.
Fantastic. So Vipul, over to you.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So I think from our perspective, being more a platform which is helping advertisers meet their requirements, I think the new age inventory formats which are coming in through newer connected devices like your audio devices, like connected TVs, etc. I'm most excited about those things, because I think those are going to change the way advertising is happening, and those are going to change the way users are interacting with different kinds of content and getting to what they want. So personally, I see that as an exciting and a growing space.
That's actually a kind of a way of addressing audiences. All right, but a tech and ad tech or martech I'm talking about.
So from an ad tech perspective, I would agree with Ishan that it is essentially the extent of data and the way the data-driven technologies are evolving, which is helping us drive more sharper targeting, track users in a more generic way, at the same time maintaining deeper intelligence about the users, so that we can get to them using various media channels. So the omnipresence of data and the ability to generalize data across various channels is, I think, the way that advertising is going to be driven going forward.
Okay, great. Nilesh?
Hey, hi everyone. So I'll give example of innovation which we have done at our end. We are India's largest agency banking platform, where we serve consumer with financial products, or largely banking products, right? And this happens through banking correspondents, which are typically small retailers who really don't have credit scores, and they do need working capital for their core businesses. So, I mean, based on the transaction patterns, what we have, so we have around 750 odd data points of our own retailers, right? With the data science and analytics, we really could come out with a scorecard, our own scorecard, for these retailers, knowing exactly what they are doing, what is their risk profile, what kind of customers they are serving, how many are repeat customers, what kind of a services customers are doing with them, right? If customer chooses to park money with that retailer, definitely the customer trusts that retailer. So a lot of geographical data with every transaction we capture lat long, and many other data points, right? So we came out with our own credit score or parallel to credit score for these agents. And while we definitely trusted our credit score, but the best part of it is one of the largest NBFCs in the country came forward and partnered with us to fund these retailers for their working capital. And that model has been successful now. And that's pretty interesting way of doing personalization and mining data and analyzing data and giving right products to retailers. So
did you acquire the data and personalization data across publishing platforms, or did you have this through a data warehouse?
We have our own set of data which we generate, right?
No, these individuals, I'm talking about these individuals. So did you acquire it by putting ads out on Times of India or on other publishing platforms? Or how did you acquire this data? I mean, or did you buy through a data warehouse of possible
No, we don't.
borrowers?
We don't buy data, and it's not acquired through any other channel. These are our own retailers transacting with us on our platform.
They haven't come through a third-party platform. They haven't come.
No, absolutely. Okay. No.
All right.
These are all captive audience.
Okay. Yeah, because we're trying to figure out how publishing platforms can provide better services to advertisers, and what are the innovations. So this is your in-house kind of a product.
This is in-house innovation, but essentially what the point I wanted to drive is, like I said, 750 odd data points or the parameters of 5 million registered retailers on our platform. Now this data is there, and publishers can definitely make use of this data through our platform.
So you're willing to share this data with?
Not share. We can
do targeted campaigns on their behalf.
Targeted campaigns
for other advertisers, potential advertisers. Okay. So you're coming out like a publishing platform yourself now, and selling inventory on or targeting these people individually.
True.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nilesh. Akshay?
Hi, thank you again for this opportunity, Anil. Basically, ShipRocket is not a publisher. We're not an advertising platform. We're an e-commerce logistics tech company. And for us, our primary goal is to be able to help our clients deliver products successfully and increase their ROI.
I totally understand what ShipRocket is.
So what we've done, so I'm just setting the context, is we're not a publisher. And for us, the personalization as far as data is concerned what's been critical is that most publishers and most companies today in e-commerce have been optimizing their campaigns across publishers based on something called an successful order. And given that 40 to 50% of orders in India happen on cash on delivery, there's a large percentage of these orders which actually don't get delivered. So when you think about the perspective of the e-commerce retailer, whilst their campaigns keep on optimizing on these publishers on the basis of an order being placed on the website, and that order might actually not be delivered, what we've developed is some really cool technology around being able to build send success metrics back to the company, to our customer, and then to the publishing platform to be able to actually optimize campaigns on successfully delivered orders, because that's where the metrics actually...
Can you repeat that? It went a little over my head.
Sorry. So, for example, let's say a cash on delivery order doesn't. You get that order. Someone comes to your house and you say, "I don't want it. Either I don't have the money right now. Take it back. I don't want it anymore. I wanted it then." That's actually a bad outcome for the retailer, right?
Absolutely.
Because they spend the money acquiring the customer and the product's coming back. But most publishing platforms will just optimize that as a successful order because the order actually got placed. It doesn't matter whether the order got delivered.
Whether there was a fulfillment or not, they don't care.
Exactly. Okay. And the retailer will only make money if the order gets fulfilled. Otherwise, it's actually a total loss. You spend the money acquiring the customer and you got the product back. And we now have a really cool tech to be able to send data back to the retailer and then to the platform to optimize campaigns based on successful deliveries. And that completely aligns the end objective of the retailer, which is selling the product, and being able to optimize an actual ROI rather than on just successful click, because you don't have to put any credit card information or pay.
So how does it work on Amazon, for instance? You're also fulfilling orders on behalf of individual small entrepreneurs, etc., and also on Amazon and other platforms. So if I, as a customer, I always pay by credit card, and I've hardly returned out of 600 orders. I may have returned one because it was a defective order. Yep. So how does it work with ShipRocket? As far as the retailer is concerned, will you then target campaigns at me more, but I'm buying different products. I'm buying books, I'm buying massagers, I'm buying medicines, I'm buying different products. So how do you do that?
So basically, since we're sector agnostic and we don't actually sell the products ourselves, we have a lot of data around customers and knowing what customers. So there could be categories of products that you potentially, and you're, I guess, one of those few good customers where you have 600 prepaid orders and you only return one. But there are categories where people actually take a lot of deliveries of products, and there are categories which are impulse categories where they don't actually deliver. So we actually can tell the retailer that if the retailer is selling products in X category, do not offer cash on delivery, only offer a prepaid mode of payment, because there's a high chance if you don't, this order will come back. And we enable that checkout to where we actually take away the cash on delivery option from there. And while some of this tech has existed globally, in India, we were the pioneers doing this, and that increases ROI on publishing campaigns by almost 5x when you look at real ROI, when you kind of start measuring things this way. Amazon already does this, right? Because Amazon is the retailer, right? As the marketplace, they are taking the orders there, and most of the deliveries are being done by them anyways through their own networks. So they already use all of this data for their own optimization. The problem is this data hasn't been available till now to the person directly selling to the consumer, because they don't have this millions of data points to be able to take these calls. Because at the end of the day, the worst outcome for a seller is that you take away cash on delivery from the checkout and the order doesn't come to you, because that's a bad outcome. So that's where we're really using personalization from a customer behavior perspective to help optimize ads and publishing.
Fantastic. So what you said, so the innovation is, which was the technological innovation, being able to, which impressed you in recent times?
So which impressed me in recent times, actually, if you ask me, the biggest technological information is having the data infrastructure to be able to do these billions, to crack these billions of data points, which was not possible 3 years ago. And the one thing that's I don't know if it's a tech innovation, but it's a tech infrastructure innovation. Platforms like Geo coming in and putting a smartphone in everyone's hand. I think that was a turning point for Indian e-commerce, and it's changed the game. So for me, that was the biggest innovation that I've seen in the last 3 years.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to ask you another question. So let me just get my notes out, because as I said, I'm a student and I learn from you all as I go along, and I hope we learn from each other. See,
absolutely.
Yeah, there are two core aces that publishers hold. One is content, the other is consent. So producing engaging content helps wins user engagement and loyalty, while user-centric content increases the chances of building trust and gaining permission to collect and use much sought-after first-party data. But there are limitations on the data you can collect, and because of privacy concerns, there's less and less information you can collect. Whereas social media doesn't have these limitations. So I'm going to ask whoever wants to come up with an answer about this. They don't have as much limitations as the publishers do. The publishing platforms like the newspapers, magazines, retailers. It's permission anyway. I've already given consent because I'm a ratified customer over there. But social media doesn't have. So is it a great way to monetize for brands and for publishers as well, to use social media to monetize whatever audiences they have, if you get what I mean?
So let me kind of put some thoughts from my side over there. So interestingly, I mean, I was just like I even put out a thought article on this as well, that technologies like blockchain can actually lead to the personalization to the next level, where the individual himself or herself will be in control of their data and they will be able to monetize it, right? So right now, what happens is that if I give my permissions to a particular app, let's say a KreditBee or an Amazon or any app which I use very regularly, right?
Or a subscriber-driven platform could be
Exactly,
premium content on New York Times or wherever.
Exactly. So where I'm providing some details by myself, and then there is certain inadvertent database, like let's say what's the kind of engagement I do on the platform, or how many times I open the app in a particular, and so on and so forth. So the voluntary and involuntary data put together becomes a very decent persona that can be sold to any publisher or any ad network, which can be eventually monetized by advertisers, right? So now that's where the challenge is from a consumer standpoint, because I am giving a lot of data. I am the one who's being pushed a lot of ads, but I'm not
benefiting from it. I'm not benefiting it from Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook should be paying me for posting. Instagram should be paying me for posting.
Yeah, because it's my data at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right?
My content, not my data, my content and my data.
Yes, my content and my data, and that together becomes a very strong persona. So A, that's something that I'm not able to monetize. B, I'm not even in control of it. So I mean, I don't mind being shown ads, because at the end of the day, as a consumer, I also want to explore what's out there. But the problem is that right now it's being indiscriminately sold to different publishers, to different ad networks, and then via that to the advertisers, and there is no control that I have over it, right? So via blockchain, we can actually solve these issues, where the intermediaries can be cut out of the picture, and I could A, monetize my data to the extent that I want, and B, I could also have a control that to whom I want to expose and how much, right? So that's one thing that I believe really would.
Do you have a solution for this? Do you have a token or something that you're planning?
No, we are not planning anything right now. It's still something which is very nascent in the current ecosystem. Of course, bats and all are there, which are coming out. But then again, it's not the markets are not mature enough right now, which can really, which can really help or enable advertisers and publishers and even consumers to kind of do that. But then that's the directional view that a lot of ecosystems are taking across the globe, and probably in the next 3 to 5 years we might see a decent change, and that might put a lot of challenge to the platter of the intermediary ad networks and the programmatic exchanges and all that. How are they going to sustain if there's more decentralization and more control to the hands of the end user?
Come on, guys, you all have to jump in now. He's thrown a cat among the pigeons. Who's going to respond?
No, so I think I'll go.
Yeah.
I think at least from an India point of view still, right? I think users are sharing their data, right? I mean, some of it is, there is some lever that has come in, right? Where at least there is a thinking happening that users to opt in, right? With what Apple has done, let's say, right? Still hasn't come to Android, but India primarily being an Android ecosystem, right? So the data is still out there, right? Eventually, all of us agree that we will be moving into probably a few years down the line into a setup where the user will have full control of his or her data, right? So I think the platforms out there have already started thinking about it. But then while all of that has happened, right, we cannot also deny the fact that, the advertising platforms out there have been there for years, right? So there is already probabilistic conversion modeling, etc., right, happening at all ends, right? And then ultimately it comes to either users or the brands, right, in terms of how much personalization they want, how much deep they want to go down into the conversion funnel to finally figure out the end goal, right? If you kind of want to go really niche, there are technology and platforms out there that might be able to solve for some of it. But if you don't kind of want to get into user privacy and all that stuff, then probably there are other things that are available. So I think I would say it is still going to be broad, at least for the few years. But then publishers or platforms such as are open to working out with brands to figure out their individual data strategies, right, and suggest them and be as consultant in terms of what is best for them, right? But then at some point in time, it's the decision of the users and the brands in terms of how much personalization and targeting they want to do.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to throw their hat in the ring?
I think largely when we talk about personalization and monetization, we are still looking at people like us, right? But there is a, huge set of marginalized people, right, who are not there on digital platforms. For them, digital platform, although Geo happened, for them, digital platform is limited to ABC, astrology, bikini, and cricket. You know what I mean, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Astrology, Bollywood, and cricket. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for correcting. Anyway, so that's their presence, and what kind of a personalization you can do about these people, if at all some brands or publishers wants to target these people with astrology, Bollywood, and cricket, right? So that's marginalized people who are rarely there on social platforms. Their digital presence is not much. They don't buy online. So, it's going to be a challenge for brands or the manufacturer to reach that set of people. Believe me, around 450 odd million WhatsApp users in this country, only 80 million odd transact on UPI, right? So what about rest all people? Publishers needs platform to reach out to these people. And honestly speaking, these guys are not skeptical about giving consent, sharing their data. These are all, we all are greedy people, right? Brands definitely looks at our data, gives us offers, personalized offers, but what about these people? So there is definitely an opportunity lies there to address these people. And I believe our platform is there wherein, we are serving these people and a lot of insights, a lot of data points we have on those customers. So very interesting point is we also need to look at Bharat rather than India, right? When it comes to personalization and monetization.
Yeah, but then you have the short video platforms, the made in India short video platform, which are addressing that Bharat, right? The social media, again, they're working like social media, like Instagram is one of the most engaging.
Again, largely their content consumption would be ABC. Let me come back to that, right? Sure. And very less profiling you can do with the kind of content they are consuming, right? So if we know what transactions they are doing, what's their income, what do they do, when it comes to their money, what do they buy? So that's going to be an interesting data to do profiling, to do personalization, and then publishers can reach out to them with the targeted content.
Yeah, Akshay, you haven't spoken.
Sorry, I haven't spoken because, again, like I said, very little experience on the publishing side. But again, one thing I will agree on is that a lot of users, what we see on our platform, they give us complete consent to use their data as long as we don't misuse it and spam them, right? They want personalization, they want offers, they want different products to be sent to them, different content to be shared with them. But the moment you start spamming, it's one thing that we realize is users are not happy doing it. And that's where we work very closely with our retailers who are our customers to make sure that they're aware of what's happening. Laws have changed very significantly in being able to promote data privacy. But the moment, what we've realized is the moment you abuse and spam, as you lose your credibility as a partner. And
but you don't ever use it to partner with certain brands to push, like Amazon's a great platform which uses its large inventory to push products out to people. So you're never going to use to push out certain products.
We do. No, absolutely we do. But we use it to promote products of the same. So if you're a customer of XYZ brand that works with ShipRocket, we use it to promote products, personalized suggestions for the same brand, right? We don't do it across brands because at the end of the day, whilst the user has given us consent to use the data, they are the brand's customers. So we do not abuse the data by cross-selling it, etc. Whereas in Amazon, they own the buying platform at the end of the day, right? The customer's coming to Amazon. Whereas in our case, the customer comes to our consumer's website. So for us, it's all cross-selling here is all about the same brand's products.
But I can also go to ShipRocket and I can also do things on ShipRocket, right? I went to ShipRocket.
Yes, absolutely. So if you talk about what I do with my customers in terms of logistics, and it's not just so much about e-commerce, absolutely. But for me, we have very strong partnerships with people who can add value to a retailer's life, whether it's tech companies, whether it's marketing automation companies, and we work closely with them to be able to curate offers and market them to our clients. But again, I'll tell you the one thing that I've seen is that if those offers are just meaningless, and for example, you're giving a 10% discount on a Shopify subscription or on a marketing automation platform, and you're not targeting the people, for example, who have a website, and you're targeting people who sell on WhatsApp, that is not going to be really useful for them, right? That's where we find a lot of people just saying, I do not allow you. We have a unsubscribe button and they start unsubscribing from everything we do. So being able to be relevant is very, very important today. More important than it was 5-6 years ago. Email used to be the biggest source of marketing and cross-selling and upselling 10 years ago when I started out my career in e-commerce. And today there's so much junk email that WhatsApp has become the new method of communication that people pay attention to. Even SMSs are going away. And WhatsApp and short videos, like you said, right? YouTube videos, etc. So because no one has the attention span to go through 540 junk emails to find that one relevant email.
I get it. Yeah. Vipul?
I think balance has to be between privacy and personalization. So like, others said on the panel, I think it all depends on how you're using the user's data and what is the value that you're adding to that data. So for example, if I'm the user of a content platform and you are using it for better content recommendations, I would not really mind you taking all my data and tracking me and seeing my viewing habits. But at the same time, if you are, spamming me with different things, then I may not like that. Also, from a user consent perspective, I think what is important is that there are certain categories of data which the user is not comfortable in sharing. But things like, what their browsing habits are, what their app usage, etc., is, what kind of transactions, etc., they are using. Users typically have no issues in giving consent because most of the users also appreciate when there are good suggestions which are coming on basis of that. So at Affle, as a policy, what we do, for example, is that we never maintain any app specific data. All our intelligence is basically done at a user level, at a more category level, because we are more interested in defining exactly what the behavior of an individual user is without really caring whether he is doing a transaction on Amazon or a Flipkart or any other platforms. And I think it is that balance which all the publishing platforms and the advertising platforms will have to maintain to be able to understand to what extent is data required for the level of personalization that they need to deliver to the user, and judiciously take the consent and then use that data which they have received as a result of the consent to only give something which the user appreciates and not really make the user feel that his privacy is getting invaded. And I think, and that is the key, because I see several apps, taking consent for reading the contact book, for reading the photos, for reading, the location, when actually their use cases have nothing to do with it.
Absolutely.
And that is something that, self-governance is important, as well as I'm sure that even with the new data regulations, etc., there would be curbs put on that as well.
Okay, so what about real-time contextual data? How is that going to come into play for personalization? I believe artificial intelligence can really come into play, driving impression level targeting without having user level data.
So that's already there. Actually,
Yeah.
A lot of real-time contextual data is being used by several platforms, including our platforms, to see, all of us have seen examples where, you go to a website or an app and you've seen a certain product added to your cart and you've come out and immediately within seconds, you start seeing, products, the same products being retargeted to you as well as related products coming to you. So I think that has a huge role to play. And I think that is actually the most relevant from an advertising perspective as well. And thanks to, a lot of computing power and data science technologies and AI, ML, etc., we are able to do sharper and sharper targeting to the users and have, a lot of success in being able to predict that who are the users who are likely to buy what kind of products and recommend those products. And we've seen decent amount of lift coming in when we are able to deploy those algorithms and target the right products to the right users at the right time.
Okay, anyone else wants to chip in? Rohit or Akshay or whoever else?
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing I will chip in is, like, when we talk about real-time contextual data, right? So about 3 years ago, people who used to come on our platform, they used to, let's say we do a lot of content marketing because it's about figuring out what people are interested in. And let's say someone was looking at shipping from India to the US. The moment they used to click on it, they used to just come to a standard sign-up form, which had basically, it was a common workflow for everybody, right? And it was not really personalized in terms of the needs of that person. And today, I think with the amount of data that we can process and the AI that we have in place, the entire user journey from the time that they show interest in a particular topic to the time that they actually become a paying customer is contextualized for us. If someone is saying they want to ship outside India, why should I keep on bombarding them with all the great things that I can do for shipping with India, while I want to tell them all of that stuff as they become customers and they stay with me? But during that user journey, if that's top of mind of that customer, my conversion tripled the moment we changed our entire, 2.7x it went in that period of 6 months when we changed and we made our entire user journey. It's not just marketing, so personalized basis of the intent that the customer showed us on the first page that they click in, rather than taking them through a generic user journey, which was the same for everyone, just because that helped me. Earlier, it was the easiest way to be able to optimize conversion funnels, right? To be able to have someone go through the same journey. The moment you had different conversion funnels, you had to optimize for multiple variables and figure out what was working rather than for a single variable, which was just where the lead came from. And I think that's a revelation, and it's changed digital advertising, and that is what is going to help reduce junk and help grab eyeballs and attention for a longer time.
You needn't be too dependent on user data then. You need it in all of y'all. So why are we hankering so much after user data? Nilesh, let somebody else come.
I think as Vipul mentioned, right? Real-time contextual data, it's happening today also. Only problem is it is on the same platform. Okay, till the time it doesn't become cross-platform. I'll give one example or fantasy. Okay, whatever you call it. Cricket match happening on TV, Pepsi ad comes up, and my Grofers or my Big Basket or PayNearby app gives me notification bypass or order Pepsi, right? I mean, that kind of a contextual real-time communication has to happen. For that, multiple platform needs to work in sync, and technology is going to be the common aspect or binding factor to achieve this. So that is what is needed now, where the cross-platform, contextual real-time data and
Nilesh, that is also happening. I mean, we have recently, through our Media Smart platform, launched technologies where you see the ads on the connected TV, and we identify that you are part of the same household and show you, related content and ads on the device also. So that cross-platform is obviously a more difficult puzzle to solve. But I think taking and it's actually, like you said, that it's a a very utopian kind of a scenario where you are using one platform for gathering the data. So supposing through the connected TV what my viewership habits are and what I'm consuming.
That's a walled garden again,
personalizing.
Right? Connected TV is walled garden again. It's a closed user base. Yeah.
No, not necessarily, because through if you are able to identify the mobile handsets of the users who are watching that TV, who are part of the same household, then you are able to come out of that and then on the mobile device basically show them ads which are contextual to the content that they have viewed or the ads that they have viewed. So, and that is what
you have to gather that much more data. You have to gather that much more data, Vipul. You have to gather that much more data about the household.
No, not necessarily. I'm saying that even purely from the content viewership habits, or what is being consumed, you can make a reasonably good user profile. I mean, somebody is watching more English content, more premium kind of content, etc. What location are they from? Because there are a lot of surrogates also which come into play. For example, a user, if he's based in South Bombay and he's using a premium handset, chances are that he's a high net worth individual and TG for a certain kind of product. Versus you see somebody using a lower end handset staying in some suburban areas, you again have some kind of information that you can derive. So just by combining these metrics and some partial data that you can gather, even with that, very powerful profiling can be done and contextual advertising can be targeted.
Okay, Ishan, you haven't spoken. Your turn. Contextual.
Yes. So I think one more thing we should also look at is that, what's the cross app usage that, let's say any entity's app has with any other entity, right? So for instance, if we see that, like out of 100 users who are coming onto a platform, 60 users are using, let's say, a Flipkart, right? Or let's say 40 users are using another app. It could be something very, very differential, let's say a sports app, right? So now that kind of information which is available on market analytics platforms can also help us identify how we can monetize our users by tying up with the right kind of entities, whether it's as a publisher, a digital publisher, or it could be something like a more integrated model. But the idea is, that's sort of that kind of gives you a good sense of what other where else your users are spending time when they're not on your platform, and when they're still on their smartphones, because at the end you have to capture the mind share. So I think that's one more item that I think would help us monetize, and at the same time contextually reach out to the users even when they're not on our platform.
Great. I'm going to throw another thing out. While, let's say the publishers, the platforms offer solutions. Are the advertisers in the right mindset? Do they have enough formats being delivered? Do they have enough contextual messaging being delivered and communication being delivered? Or is it, common communication, and then you have cohorts and you have the same communication being bombarded? I don't think the advertising ecosystem has evolved enough in communication terms. Who wants to come?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that because, we work with several advertisers, and it's always that we have requirements for different kinds of formats, different contextual advertising, different content, etc., that we would want to be advertised, and getting even a new set of creatives every few weeks from the advertisers is a huge challenge. So while everybody talks about the scenario where everything is contextual and very personalized to the user, but just getting simple creatives out, so multiple sets of creatives for different regions or different segments of users is a huge challenge. And I think definitely the advertisers need to evolve more.
And just to add to what Vipul has mentioned, I mean, not just creatives, right? I think the expectations from all platforms are different and offer something really unique, right? But actually the preferences from advertisers would be, they will have a common goal across all platforms without really understanding the niche for the audiences or the requirement of the platforms too. So while it is good that everyone is thinking and talking about personalizing it in a very different way as per the users, but then it is also very platform dependent in terms of what those platforms are offering and how do they help you better target your users. I mean, just like we're talking about contextual, right? I mean, there are providers like us, right? We will know that like how Ishan mentioned that what his 100 users are doing on KreditBee, right? We will in some shape and form, we see those users across multiple different apps, right? So we will also know that this is a finance user, but then he's also a sports enthusiast because he's watching so much on OTT. He's also a shopaholic because he's shopping on e-commerce, right? And bringing in all those data sets together, providers like us can help with better profiling of the audiences for the brands, right? And that is where it starts to become more relevant for everyone.
Yeah, but then you have to have data sharing. Then you have to, how do you do this cross-platform data? You don't have a common data provider like that who's providing you across platforms.
Yeah, we do have our first-party SDKs in publisher apps, right? So I mean, we will see the user across different apps that we kind of gather the data from. So we'll all of this will be first-party data, right? And then we'll effectively be able to profile at a cohort level that these are the cohorts who are interested in this, right? And then there is some linkage that we'll be able to develop, in terms of what a particular set of users, if there are 3 things that I want to define about a user, these are those 3 things, right? So we'll always, platforms such as us will have access to a lot more information than just individual advertisers out there. I mean, and we do that with a lot of brands, right? I mean, they will come back with a set of users that these are the users, these are our users that we want to target, right? Can you help us extend this reach? So we don't want to do spray and pray, right? I mean, we don't want to show mass advertising, but then can you help us kind of grow this data set to a larger data set, which is more relevant, right? So we'll kind of...
Yeah, I get that. But what about contextual advertising by the advertiser? That's what we are talking about right now.
Yeah.
Which is not happening. We don't have so many formats and so many different communications. Like there could be a product for an older woman, there could be a product for a younger woman, but both the younger women and the older women see the same commercial or the same banner or the same video or the same GIF.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the messaging, etc., right, has to be really personalized, which is not happening right now, right? But I think the ecosystem is moving towards that, right? I mean, there are actually niche technological providers that have started to come in, right, to kind of just focus on and help on creative front, right? Because the brands might not be equipped with all of them themselves, right? So there are these bridges that are coming in and hopefully moving towards a world, because that is something that would be required.
Yeah, but
I'll just quickly jump in and add to the point that was very well mentioned over here. So I think on even the basic DSPs or the kind of ad setups that we do on Google and Facebook, right? Especially on Facebook, because Google now is, at least on the mobile marketing side, has largely moved towards UAC. So we can always define cohorts and target accordingly. So for instance, let's say if you show a North Indian guy an ad copy which has the image of a person who has slightly, let's say, South Indian features, right? So while everything else is relevant to the individual, at the subconscious level, there is some
resistance.
non-relatability.
Yeah.
Right. Similarly, if you're showing a male individual for, if the target audience is male, and it's a proposition that you're selling or trying to market directly to the end user. No, it's not a gifting thing, because in gifting it's reverse, right? So in that case, if you show a female, the image on the ad copy or on the creative, then again, it's the relatability is not there. So you can always identify the larger cohorts. Of course, at a very minuscule level, you have to probably go to the DCOs and all that. But at least at a larger level, if you identify cohorts, set the target audience accordingly, and use creatives that are very specific, or the communication as well, which is very specific to them, I think it definitely improves the click-through and the overall performance.
Okay. Anyone else wants to come in? Or is everything been said about this? So in terms of the use of artificial intelligence going forward, see, we have programmatic, but is programmatic really working? Programmatic versus contextual? All of these conversations can go on. Who wants to jump in? Yep, Ishan, you want to take a shot?
Sorry, come again on the programmatic bit.
Yeah, versus contextual, specifically on contextual.
On the right, so I think, see, programmatic, again, it's a very data-driven model, and it largely enhances your reach. So it's, again, it depends on how you're looking at programmatic, whether you're looking at it as a performance channel, or it's more of a performance assist or a brand channel. So most of us don't really look at programmatic as performance, because its idea overall is to enhance reach, enhance impressions.
Absolutely.
Once you actually go ahead and do your performance marketing, overall, even for organic for that matter, it helps create that brand recall or awareness, whatever is applicable, and then helps you convert better, right? So that's the whole idea. So contextualization definitely helps anywhere in any form of marketing, but then again, in programmatic, because you have larger levers, there is so much data, there's so much inventory. So definitely you have more levers to play around with, and you can always automate campaigns to that extent. But again, if you talk about it from a pure play performance standpoint, I don't really think programmatic, as much as you contextualize it, can really be looked at as a performance channel. You have to always look at it as a performance assist or a brand channel, at least in our experience.
Okay, and what role do you all see? Who else wants to step in on the use of AI going forward as far as publishing platforms is concerned? Vipul, you want to take a shot, or Nilesh or Rohit? And machine language again, machine learning.
See, as far as programmatic is concerned, I would slightly differ with Ishan on it being primarily more a branding channel, etc. I mean, obviously that is there, but I think we've delivered very scalable outcomes using our AI ML algorithms and the data that we have, and to some extent contextualization as well through the programmatic channels. So I agree that the extent of contextualization on programmatic has certain limitations, because in many cases, when you're buying inventory, you may not know the exact placement which is there or where your ad is going to appear and so on. But at the same time, combining the existing intelligence that you have about the user, as well as, broadly, which destination are you using, as well as, the real-time contextual information that you're getting. I think programmatic is definitely very powerful. And I personally see, and we've all seen it actually, the share of programmatic scaling up more and more, because it also democratizes the entire process. So programmatic in that sense is very, very powerful for the publishers as well as for advertisers, because it suddenly makes it an even playing field, and anybody can go and have access to any kind of inventory and buy it on a uniform protocol. So the entire issues which used to happen at, where you have to block inventory with publishers and different CPMs, etc., and there is no standard rates and things like that. Programmatic definitely helps there. And I think there are reasonable tools and levers available for contextualization and personalization on programmatic as well.
Okay. All right.
I think a couple of things where artificial intelligence really comes into play. One is lookalike, right? And you have a data of people, you have a set of target audience, and you train your algorithms so that they identify the similar set of users, and then even with you have limited data sets for those kind of users, you can start targeting and personalization for those guys. One more thing is when user is about to think about purchase, right? And you start communicating personalization at that moment. There again, the artificial intelligence is gonna come into the picture in a big way, right? So prediction models specifically I'm talking about, right? So that can happen only with artificial intelligence. So these are the two areas largely I see where artificial intelligence will be.
And what about machine learning? Ishan, you want to step in on that, or Rohit? And
Yeah, I
in
think
training your platform or training your publisher, the publisher training itself to target the user effectively by
right.
learning what the user is doing.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, talking about Google UAC, which has already been used very actively, at least in the mobile marketing space by all the advertisers, and even now Facebook has jumped in with AAA earlier this year. So definitely all of that is dependent on machine learning, where you gather data about the campaigns, about how the TG is responding, and then basis that, instead of manual bidding or manual optimizations for a lot of parameters, it's the machine or the algorithm in itself that decides and identifies, and that's the whole idea that all these platforms have come up with, right? That we know our data. You just tell us what you want and what you want to optimize and to what extent, and we know our data. We'll be able to optimize it better than you do, as long as you give us the right directions. And it's scaling up really well, I believe. Overall, we have seen that UAC, at least the initial couple of launches, which is UAC install and UAC action, so they're all hit in the market, and most of the mobile marketing is being driven via that. Even programmatic to a large extent is machine driven itself. So I think there's definitely enough progress that's happened, and I think now even the ad networks, the publishers and all, they're also using all these automated platforms where you just provide the directions, and everything else will be taken up, and they're only enriching it with time. So definitely that's where the industry is moving.
Yeah, and Rohit?
Yeah, so I think ML has kicked in a big way, right? I mean, we see across our platforms, right, which are also, that, while the user defines a certain cohort, right, in terms of what they want to see or what is the kind of content they want to see, but the system really understands and learns if given some time, right? It understands and learns in terms of what is the true engagement happening on the platform, right? And basis that, recommendations and insights are being shared, right? But then with programmatic play, the levers are there with the brands and advertisers, etc. Right? So effectively, I think technology wise, right, everything and multiple levers are available, right? The platforms do offer a plethora of things, whether it's performance or brand awareness, right? Brands and advertisers can define their goal and get into those levers. They can use their data sets along with third-party data sets. Everything is available, right? It's just kind of combining everything and using it in the right way, whether it comes to contextual.
Yeah, but going forward, I see video and in video not ever being replaced by machine language or artificial intelligence. Advertising in video or in content. It's going to be around content, right? Mainly around content rather than in.
Yeah, I think the way in which content will be combined, I think it's still evolving, I would say, right? There are newer formats. Video has come in a big way, right? A few years before it was all display and static, right? And it's video. There are newer formats coming into video as well, right? And there's still a lot of innovation happening. I would still say that we are at a very early stage when it comes to how content will change in the years to come, right? With a lot of there were new digital savvy users, right, which everyone in all digital platforms were focusing on. But then with geo coming in and newer form of content coming in, right, there are a lot more users online, and I think new users are coming at a really rapid pace. So a lot of innovation will happen in terms of how those users are being reached, right? We don't know what formats clicks with what kind of a user. So I would still not really say which is the format that might be working, but definitely right now, video is and short form video is the thing that is happening.
Okay, anyone else? Because I've been told I have another 2 minutes left. We have 2 minutes. I don't know if I hope we've not meandered along and we've discussed a few points which are relevant to the topic that we had in mind. I hope we've not meandered, all of y'all, and y'all didn't find this a waste of your time. I learned a bit from y'all guys. Yeah. Go ahead, Ishan, you want to say something?
No, I think definitely not a waste of time. I think we all can vouch for it. It's always good to learn from each other and join and understand what you are talking about. So definitely, it's greatly enlightening. At least I can speak for myself as much as you can. And yeah, I think it's a great discussion. I don't have any specific points to add at the moment.
Anyone else? Any points? Akshay or Vipul? And before we call it a day, and I learned a lot from you guys. I must tell you all.
I have to say thank you, Anil, and all the panelists. Not being a marketing professional, being a business guy, it was really enlightening, and yeah, exciting times ahead.
Thank you very much, Vipul.
It was good. I think it was especially interesting to know the kind of stuff ShipRocket and KreditBee, etc. are doing. So definitely very interesting to know the strides which different companies are taking. Thank you so much for sharing the insights.
Thank you. Thanks, Ishan. Thanks, Rohit. And thanks, all of you all.